Hi friends, it's Cathy, and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's in the Cards Divination. Today, I thought we'd have a chat about intuition or psychic or both. And is there even a difference between them? So if this is something that interests you today, then please stay tuned and we will go and delve into it and see what we can find out. Okay, friends. So, to talk about intuition, it's quite simple actually, in terms of every human being has the intuition that has been born into us, and we've had it for eons. It's something that's inside of us, and it helps us to keep us safe. It also helps us to live our best life. But because our world has got so busy, often we don't hear it very well. Okay. So, in other words, everyone has that intuition nudge sometimes that we get. Maybe you've seen yourself expecting a phone call from a friend. All of a sudden, you get a little bit of a knowing, and then the phone rings. Maybe you have wondered about a particular situation in your life. Maybe you're trying to choose courses, make a big life decisions, and you're not sure what to do. And maybe your inner voice has been telling you quietly that particular area is a good idea. But your friends are all telling you, no, 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 go into this field. It's way better. You'll make right. So that little voice inside of each and every one of us is called our intuition. And that's what helps, as I say, guide us through this life. It tries to keep us safe. It's been there since time began. It would have helped prehistoric man keep them safe from dangerous animals. And for us now in this modern world, our world is noisy, as you know. Okay, we have distractions from TVs and cell phones and all kinds of social media and just population in general and transportation noises, cars, etc. It has become an increasingly loud world we live in. So that little voice that you often can hear is quiet. Okay. So that is where we start with intuition. Okay. Got my notes here. I just don't want to forget important things that I wrote down. Okay, so what does your intuition feel like? How do you know it's your intuition as opposed to just your logical mind? Well, when you feel intuition, first of all, it comes through very fast. There's no sitting there ruminating. It is not emotion based. So, in other words, the actual whatever's coming through to you, whether it's a picture, a voice, however it's coming through to you, this intuition you're feeling in your gut, it doesn't feel, it has an associated emotion to it. For example, you ever walk into a space, maybe it's a restaurant, a house, and you just didn't feel right in your gut, but you couldn't explain why. That is your intuition telling you through your emotions um, space, there's something there that isn't safe, doesn't feel good, and you need to listen to it. Okay. Now, you may experience that as I just know. You can't explain it, I just know. Or um, you might see it. Some people have what we call the clairs. And the clairs are, there's four main clairs, and you probably heard of them if you're into anything spiritual. There's clairvoyance, there's clair, which is your seeing in your mind's eye, almost like your imagination. You can see a picture. There's clairsentience, which is probably the most common for most of us. It's that feeling you get. Okay, that's clairsentience. It gives you a feeling. Does it give you a good feeling? Does it give you a negative feeling? Does it make you feel anxious? Does it make you feel happy, calm? You get it. Then there's clairaudience, which is clear hearing. So you might actually hear a word, you might hear a sentence, quick stop, you might hear that in your head. It's inside here and it's quieter, but it is not it doesn't come through emotionally. Like it doesn't have an angry voice. It doesn't have a happy voice necessarily. It's just very calm, and that's matter of fact. Okay. And the fourth clair that often is the most common, let's get my notes here, is claircognizance. Okay. When you just know something, but you can't explain why you know it. Okay. That's claircognizance. And all these things, they come through very quickly. Now, there are other clairs as well that are less common. For example, there's let me see here, my clairvoyance, which is clairvoyance. It's a smelling. Some people actually can smell things that are not in your world. For example, you might smell flowers, you might smell baking, you might smell cigarette smoke when none exists around you. These are examples of that clair. There is clairgustus, which is clear tasting. This isn't as common, where you taste something in your mouth. Perhaps some people might taste metallic taste that is not associated to anything wrong with you, for example, or you might taste a particular food item. So those things don't come through as commonly for intuition. Intuition usually comes through as I said, as clairsentience, which is that feeling you get, or claircognizance, that knowing. Okay. So you have no reason. You don't know why you feel that way. You're like, well, I've got this feeling it's not good. And for example, before I was doing this type of work, and I really didn't know anything about the spiritual clairs or, how to tap in and receive messages, I was looking for buying a house. And the house itself was nice, and then it was empty. There was no furniture. We walked through, and when I went up to the master bedroom, I I can't tell you how I knew. I just felt it. I felt it, and it was a knowingness. I could not wait to get out of that bedroom. And so much so that I refused to buy that house. Even though at the time my husband really wanted the house, and I was so against it. And to this day, I feel I was sensitive to something. Now, some of us, our intuition is stronger. Perhaps we're more sensitive to our world around us, or for those people who are able to meditate or do prayer, sometimes you're able to receive that intuition more clearly because you're already quieting your mind. It's all that monkey chatter that gets in the way of the intuition. Okay? So now we will look at how do you know, as I said, that this is your intuition as opposed to your thoughts, because our thoughts can get in the way, and that's tricky. That takes some practice, okay? But emo your own thoughts will always have some kind of emotion attached to it. For example, usually fear is the biggest. Well, do you want to take that new job, for example? Sounds great, but your brain is saying, yeah, but now I have to pack up and move. And what if I fail? That's your ego getting in the way, your thoughts, okay? Because there's a fear attached to a new situation. That's the harder one. When you have to deal with the bigger problems, it's hard to separate the emotion and the fear from what you're actually receiving intuitively. Um, Fear, of course, as we know, it has its own agenda. Your ego has its own agenda. It's trying to protect you from getting hurt. It's trying to keep you safe from looking foolish. It keeps you safe, all these things. But what also it does is it holds us back from trying new things. And I can tell you right now, if I'd listened to my ego, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you actually recording this message. So so it's like a quiet confidence voice, and it's very matter of fact. That's what your intuition will sound like to you. But as I mentioned, there are practice sessions that you can do to strengthen that and to remind yourself of how your intuition feels as opposed to your own thinking voice, your own ego, when you have to make decisions. So it's always good to practice and allow your mind to clear and to quiet it so that you can receive those very quiet messages and come in clearly. I have read some great books and belong to a membership group of Lisa Kay, and I am giving her a shout out. The link will be in my description box if you're interested in buying her book or joining her group. She talks about very effectively how to strengthen and listen to your intuition. I highly recommend her. She got me on this path of looking at my intuition. So, anyone interested, she's very clear, very easy to understand, no nonsense, and she is effective. So, I highly recommend her website and podcasts and videos. So, now let us go further from intuition. So, let's say, yeah, but what those people out there that are psychic, they tout themselves as psychic. They say they can see things, they get messages. And then there's this hearing of intuition versus psychic, and you're thinking, well, what is it? What is this all about? Well, first of all, okay, we started with the intuition, and everyone has it. Psychism or psychic um, powers, they used to call it. It's not, first of all, what we think it is. I've learned this with my studying. First of all, psychism or having psychic information is just a stronger and more um, worked with piece of your intuition. So, in other words, it's like taking your intuition and maxing it out to a higher level, and the messages then are able to come through as you need them or a little bit clearer, perhaps. So it requires study. It requires working more with your intuition and with your um, meditation. And there's a whole bunch of different things you can do. So in other words, it's like taking intuition to a higher level. You're now going to be able to receive and hear messages a little more clearly. And that's what a lot of tarot workers or divination, as I do, or mediums, they will have that psychic ability. And what it is, they're able to, and anyone who does that kind of work, tap into your energy field here. So, in other words, everybody has an aura, you've probably heard, that encompasses our entire physical body. It's colors, different colors, and people who are sensitive and strongly intuitive will be able to see that or blend with your energy in their own mind's eye when they do their meditation. I know that sounds a little woo, but it requires some practice and it requires meditation. And that's how they're able to receive messages from your higher self through you, okay, when they're sitting in front of you or giving you a message or reading. Now, going into mediumship, of course, is completely different. Mediums, in other words, let me say this, and this is the different way of looking at it. There are psychics who can tell you what's going on or what potentially could go on or choices you have. And then there are mediums, right? Okay, so mediums, all mediums are psychic. They can all either tap into your energy here on earth or they can tap into your loved ones in spirit. So all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. In other words, I might be able to, or someone else might be able to give you information about your energy field and what's happening in your life. That doesn't mean I can connect with your loved ones in spirit. Now, personally, I have been doing that, but a lot of psychics, they don't go that extra distance and learn that modality. It's just not something that they go into. So that's the difference. A lot of times we get hung up on all these terms and what's the difference. So let's go back to the psychism, psychic information. Okay. So the psychic part of it is, as I said, is basically taking your intuition and strengthening it and working with it on a regular basis with exercises so that your messages are now coming through clear. You're getting messages. It's coming, and it's coming not just randomly. It's coming when you are asking for it. Because a lot of people will say, "Oh, yeah, but get that little nudge," but it just I can't control it. It just shows up any old time. And that is true. But it's the exercises you do and the practice you do that will strengthen that. So it becomes something you can tap into when you need it. Okay. So, how can you practice your intuition in your day-to-day life? Okay. I had mentioned, I have promoted about Lisa Kay, and she is wonderful. But you can also at home, you can practice doing. First of all, you need to meditate. That's a no-brainer. You have to quiet down your monkey chatter, get that quiet, because otherwise you won't be able to hear it. You won't be able to see the pictures because other pictures are too busy going on in your mind about what you're having for lunch, the groceries you need to pick up at the store, on and on, right? All the many myriad of things that we do on a daily life. Okay, day basis. Okay, so you can practice by just sitting. I've done this. For example, you go to a restaurant. What is my husband going to order? Without asking him, of course. And the first thing that pops into your mind, go with that. And you try, and you may fail for quite a while. I still struggle sometimes if my brain isn't quieted down. There are days I'm not getting the clear messages. Okay. So it is something you can develop. You can develop the psychism. So we all have the ability to take the intuition and bring it to a higher level and use it for our greatest good and the greatest good of the people we are with on this earth. So let's see now. You can ask for anything. You can stand in a lineup and say, how long am I going to have to stand here in this lineup at the bank, for example? Although not many people go into banks anymore. And whatever pops in, it's that quick little pop. It's not going to come, I mean, it's almost coming to you as you're thinking that sentence. Like it is that fast. And sometimes it's very subtle. So you have to listen to it. So these are ways that you too can practice. Now, just remember um, that whatever you do with this type of work is not in vain. Because what you're doing is, even if you don't become a psychic, so to speak, it's strengthening your intuition, which will help you live a decent, good life in your daily world out there and help you make good decisions in your life. Now, I don't advocate making big decisions when you're first learning all this. In fact, even myself, I find it's too easy to let fear get in the way. Even though I do receive psychic messages, I find I can't, it's hard for me to do it for myself because our emotions get in the way. Okay. So I don't know if this has made a lot of sense to you, but I hope it cleared a little bit about the difference between intuition and psychic. It's basically the same thing. It's just psychism is stronger and it has been developed and worked on, and something that is very much a discipline. You have to do working on it daily in order it's like a muscle. You want to strengthen it, you got to do it all the time, right? And the meditation, of course, they always say that. The meditation is very important. And I know that can be difficult sometimes in our life. We feel we don't always have the time to do it. We have time to do other things. This is something, if you really want to do, then you work on it. So there are lots of places online for you to search ways to strengthen your clairs. There are different ways, like practices, as well as Lisa Kay, I mentioned. There are other online sites that are fabulous. And just remember, when you are working in this type of field, a type of spirituality, it's to benefit others. It's not going to just benefit you. It's also going to benefit other people in your life. So have fun with this. I hope this gave you the information you were looking for. Enjoy. And we can always have another chat with Cathy down the road, and maybe we can do some exercises even, or we can learn more about psychism. All right, my dears, this is my video for this week, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested, I would be so happy if you subscribe to my channel, click on the like button, or add the bell if you want to receive further videos coming down. I release every Tuesday, 7 Central Time, and usually it is, as you know, pick-a-pile readings, tarot card readings, divination, but every once in a while I like to put on something where we learn something too. It's not all about predictions or trying to figure out the future. All right, my dear friends, I also have a website if you're interested in getting a paid reading. It's in the card. Let me see now. I will post it in the, I have a hard time remembering that one. I will post the link in the description box. If you're interested, click on my website and you will be able to access a paid reading. All right. So take care, my friends, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. And bye for now.